So for you, what are like red flags when you were going through the dating process where it was like, okay, this is not qualified out. This is not a contender.
Yeah, how they treat their mom. That's huge. Like, I think that's so important. Like, how they connect with their family. Are they good people? How they carry themselves. And obviously, they do not have to be perfect. So I do want to throw that out there. Like, no one's perfect. We're not perfect, so we can't expect them to be perfect. But just like the little things, like, I don't know, I'm not into people who are clubbing and drinking all the time. It's like, I don't know, if whatever you're reading in the Bible, kind of ask God to show you and guide you in like the flags that he thinks are there for you.
That should be your song for the year. No, but Sarah, you're such a light. Thank you for all you do. And I just encourage you to keep going and keep shining and keep inspiring the masses because you're doing it, girlfriend. Thank you for your time. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Made to Shine Show. As you just heard in that introduction, we are in for such a treat. We have the beautiful, amazing, impressive, inspiring Sarah Bond with us today. I am just so tickled that you're here, and I'm so honored that you're on the show. Welcome, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. It's honestly still really weird for me to hear Sarah Bond. I'm like, oh, that's me.
For those who don't know, she just got married. So I can imagine it's almost like, I don't know, wearing a new outfit that looks super cute, but you're like, this is just new. I don't know how, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so good.
I love that. Well, so excited to have you on. And as we were talking about previously, the mission of Made to Shine is to remind every single person they have a ministry. They don't have to be a preacher, they don't have to be a pastor. It's the way you're kind to someone walking to your marketing class in college, or the way that you shine your light at the gym or in fitness, which I know is an area that you just have such a footprint in. It's just wherever God trusts you with the spaces that you occupy. And so, Sarah, from afar, I have seen you do that in just a little bit of time we've been connected. And I'm super excited to talk about it up close today. But before we dive in, we've got to kick off this show with the way we kick off every show, which I did not even tell you. It's a surprise. But it is what?
I listen to your podcast, so.
Oh, darn it. So you know. Okay. Well, then you were prepared. So I'm expecting a great quote. What is your favorite quote and why, Sarah?
I feel like right now it's been more of a verse that I've been like tied to. It's been a staple for me in the season, especially. It's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. So that's been big this season.
What is that verse? What does that mean to you? Like, what does it make you feel confidence wise?
Yeah, I guess just like no matter what's going on, like I'm not gonna lie, this season has been a little different than most for me. And just trusting in God, like there is a future. And sometimes it might seem unknown and we want our own ways, but God's ways are better than ours. So just always being able to trust in Him and like not drifting from Him.
That's so true. And what I love about that is, regardless of where you're at in life, that's a promise you can hold on to, right? Because, I mean, someone would look at like your Instagram page and you have all these followers and you're just this fitness boss queen and you just got married, and it's so easy to be like, oh, her life is perfect, like everything is going fantastic. And to that point, no matter what season of life you're in, I think I'm a big believer, like, there's always good things, but there's also always hard things. Like, I don't think you ever walk through a season of life where there isn't something that's just bothering you or something you're going through. And that perspective, to be able to hold onto a verse like that, it takes a certain level of maturity. And so talk me through, Sarah, like, let's back up. Let's back up to, I know you used to be a gymnast and you kind of transferred into this weightlifting thing. Let's back up to younger Sarah. Did she always have this kind of faith? Did she always have this assurance in that perspective? Or talk to me kind of through that story.
Yeah, I guess I could kind of talk about. I actually just got asked to speak at my church about like our testimonies, and it's kind of
Wow.
funny because I used to think like I didn't really have a testimony, and it used to almost bother me a bit because I've grown up in a Christian home, and I'm so thankful for everything, but my life was just pretty like you know chill. I have always known God, and I've always wanted to grow closer to Him. But I just felt like going to church all the time, like I would always hear people with these giant stories, they like turn their lives around, now they're living for God and they can use their story to help others. And I'd be like, how am I supposed to like help others if I haven't really experienced like these huge trials? But through that, I've just learned like I have such a joy with me that I can share with others, and also like there's hope for the future generations. So like the way I grew up, I want to be able to do even more for my family and the next generations, and that can like keep growing, and hopefully that'll inspire others too.
Okay, what you just said is so powerful because I know so many people that we live in a world, I think it's the comparison conditioning in us, but we compare our testimonies
Yeah.
and we think it's like almost like I wasn't the prodigal son. I didn't run away and have this massive like lost from God experience and came back. And so who am I to share God and share? And I think what's so powerful is like, especially in a story like the prodigal son, there were two sons. There was also the son that stayed and was diligent and listened, and he had a story and a testimony too. And I think that's so powerful because it's like everybody's got a story,
Mhm.
everybody's got a testimony. And what makes yours qualified to share Jesus is the fact that it's yours. No one else has it. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't matter if it's this grand thing or this, like, you can't measure a testimony. So I love that. I'm curious, like, have you always known the Lord and known Jesus, or was it a gradual relationship that built? How did that kind of come to pass?
Yeah, I definitely always have. Like, my parents have been really good at prioritizing. Like, we always go to church on Sunday. We put God first. We did family devotionals together. So I'm so thankful for my parents and like how they raised me. But it also wasn't such like a force to where I almost like neglected it. It was also
Yeah.
like they gave us really good examples, and it was kind of up to us to choose our relationship with God, and they really encouraged it. But also through the years, like especially with gymnastics, like I really did have to focus on God, especially with like just getting nervous for competitions and stuff. Like I feel like every time I went through a little bit of stress with that too, like I would always try to grow closer to God.
I love okay, let's talk about that because I think same here. I grew up with parents that they introduced me to Jesus, and I'm so grateful for that. But there comes this point where you have to decide personally, like I'm believing in this for me, for Sarah, for Annie Mayfield, like for me, not because my parents told me to. And so I grew up, I played tennis in college, and so like sports was such a great way for God to kind of introduce me further to Him. Oddly enough, it's like I saw so much of God on the tennis court or before matches when I was super nervous. And the whole point of like this podcast and why I get so passionate is like letting people know you can talk to God right before you go on the gymnastics mat
Yeah.
or right before you go on the tennis court. So talk to me about like in that season of life with gymnastics, like how would you practically bring God into that conversation when you were nervous or having a moment where you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle this or whatever have you.
I do remember specifically some nights, like I dealt a lot with fear with my skills. I would get like super nervous to go for them, and it would get really bad to where like I just feel like I couldn't do them. And I remember at night I would just always have this like prayer, God, please help me. I don't know why. It was just like those few words, and I would always say them like repetitively every night, and just knowing like that He is there for me throughout like all the little details, even if it's like the smallest thing, like going for a skill might not seem that huge, but in the moment, like it's something that's pretty big, and you can always lean on God no matter like how big or small things are.
Yeah. And I love that prayer because it's so simple. I think sometimes we think our prayers have to sound like, I don't know, like some sort of symphony
Mhm.
or who's that shake like a Shakespearean novel. You know what I mean? It's like that artist, the like no, your prayer can be super simple. And I think it's important for that to be the case because when you're going through a time of transition or a hard time, oftentimes we don't have words. Like I know when I've been at some of my darkest moments or my most fearful or scared, I didn't have a lot of things to say. And anything I did have to say wasn't really pretty. It wasn't like this beautiful, eloquent prayer. It was very much like, I need you. like, God, come, like, draw near to me. Like, I love David says that in the Psalms. He's like, draw near to me. That's been my prayer. And so I love, like, help me. It's just people can recognize simple prayers are sometimes the best prayers. And I know you went through a season. I was looking on your Instagram. You said like you went through a season with gymnastics that led to a lot of injuries and
Mhm.
burnout. And that eventually, I guess, led to the shift in more weightlifting and what you're doing now. Talk to me about like having, because obviously you're gifted with this passion for fitness. It's just so apparent in all that
Mhm.
you do. And like, and so how do you, after going through that experience of burnout with gymnastics, steward this gift of this passion for fitness now that prevents burnout, that prevents you using it so much that you don't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, gymnastics is very, very repetitive. We trained 30 hours a week. So, like,
That's
every week we had the same schedule. And you just do the same things on Monday, same things on Tuesday, and it's just pretty much years of that. And then you, like, slowly start progressing. So, over time, it's just, like, a little bit draining,
yeah.
especially mentally. You're like, all right, I'm ready for something different, something fun. Um, and then on top of that, with like the injuries that you talked about, I guess I could go into some detail in that if that's okay.
Yeah.
I fractured my back, and I didn't tell anyone for a year that I was like struggling with it much because my coaches are like, oh, you're fine, keep going. And so a year later, I eventually decided to like be like, hey, it's getting so bad, like I need to do something. That's when I found out I did fracture it like a year before. It was just stress fracture. Over time of still going on it with all that training, like it just had so much buildup and inflammation that it made my fear even worse going for skills. So now on top of like the fear, there's also the injury. So your body's not allowing you to do things to protect itself. And it just became
Mhm.
this like mental battle of trying to get through practice. And obviously, like I said, it just becomes draining and repetitive. So eventually I was like, okay, I have to stop. And it was really hard for me. But it was actually just like one day I just called my coach and was like, I need a meeting. And I just stopped and cut it like that, which is really wild for doing it for.
I still got you. You're good. Hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So I'm curious, like with gymnastics, that feeling of, it's funny you say you just one day showed up and decided to quit. So I have a similar story with tennis in that I went to college for tennis, and then for my end of my junior year season, I had fallen in love with running, and I couldn't do both because my body couldn't handle it. And so it was the end of that junior year season. I went to my coach after finishing it out and was like, I'm not going to play my senior year. I want to run. And it was very much just that day. I want you like explain to me what that felt like, cuz I try to explain to people. I believe that's the spirit, like just like okay, this is it, cuz so many people are like how do you know when to quit? How do you know when to leave or when to stick it out? And so I'm curious like that day that you were just like this is not for me anymore, what that practically felt like. Yeah. Don't you worry. The amount of technical difficulties I've had in my life doing this podcast are so many. This is nothing compared to what sometimes.
Okay. Did it all go away or is
No,
some?
no, that's what's great about this. I'll have the entire recording so my team can edit it and it'll be like it never happened. So we have the yeah, it's your side's great. Um, so are you comfortable? I can literally just like repeat the last question I asked you and we can keep going.
Yeah, we can do it. Does it sound fine on my phone?
Yeah, no, you
Oh,
look everything's great.
sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Um, okay, so Sarah, I want you to backtrack because I know, like, I have a similar story. I, after 3 years of playing college tennis, at the end of that season, was like, I want to run full time, and I couldn't do both. And it was in the matter of a day. I went to my coach and was just like, I want to not play on the tennis team my senior year. And I try to explain it to people because I'm like, it really was just that day decision. And I believe that is the spirit, like giving you that boldness and that conviction. But when you, on that day where you quit gymnastics, like what did that practically feel like? Because I think sometimes people are like, when do I know when it's okay to quit and when I should stick it out?
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of conversation with my parents too, just like weighing out the options, like, is it worth it? And they know me really well, and I think they could tell it just wasn't my passion like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kind of like having more encouragement, knowing that it's not just me that sees it, like other people can see it too. The second point is, I think I started doing it for other people and not myself as well. Like, I was doing it for my coaches. I was doing it just because it's like, it's, I guess, a cool thing, you know, like level 10 competitive gymnast. Like, it was my almost title, you could say. So
Yeah.
it's all I knew. And that's pretty much the only reason I was doing it now. It's like, oh, it's cool. And I'm doing it because I want to do it for others. And so I really felt myself like, I need to do something for myself. And yeah, I think that's like the main point of like kind of just trying to figure out what's going to be good for me in that season, especially injury wise. Like, I couldn't really do anything anymore. And it was getting so painful. I'm like, okay, in the long run, is this going to be good or bad for me? And I
Yeah.
knew that stopping would honestly be way better in the long run. So,
Yeah. That's so interesting. I think a lot of us fall prey to making decisions based off of how we think other people will respond or
mm,
how they will celebrate us or like trying to sidestep from someone being disappointed in us. And what's interesting is in like scripture, it talks about just like loving other people and serving other people. And I know in the past, I used to take that as okay, I basically got to be a martyr for other people and give up myself. And we're called to give up ourselves, yes. But I guess, how have you found the balance between like doing what we're called to do, which is serving people and loving people, but not at the expense of like ourselves being depleted?
yeah, I am working on that a lot in this moment, like season. It's been so big for me because I'm such a people pleaser. And so
Mhm.
I totally understand where people are coming from if they're getting more burnt out. And I'm just really trying to remember too, like you have to kind of not fully, but you do kind of have to like put yourself first in order to be able to be there for others. Like you have to prioritize your health, especially like putting God first. He's like the top priority. But
Mhm.
then like focusing on your own health and well-being, knowing that you can be there for others, and if not, like if you're getting drained, you're just going to burn yourself out and you're not really going to be your best self to put out there for other people. So kind of just thinking, it sounds kind of like a weird circle, but like you have to think about yourself and knowing that's better for helping.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I once heard it put, it's like imagine a vase that's filled with water and it's trying to pour into all the cups around it and it pours and it pours and it pours, but there's nothing filling it back up, so eventually it runs out. So the amount of
Yes.
it can pour into is limited versus a vase that sets itself on an over like on an ever flowing stream and it pours cups out of its overflow. And that way it never runs dry. And the amount of cups it can pour into is unlimited because it sits on this ever flowing stream. And the way it was put was like, imagine that ever flowing stream being Jesus. Like we're called
Mhm.
to give ourselves up, but to give ourselves up to Jesus, not other people. And in giving ourselves up to Jesus, we serve other people from that overflow of his love. And all that to say, like, it's so hard to do practically. You know what I mean? Like, that sounds great. But when you're in a decision of like, okay, it's crunch time. My friends want me to go to dinner with them. I kind of am exhausted and know I need a night by myself. Which one do I choose? Because that's when things get hard. Because in the back of your mind, you're like, you're a bad person if you don't go. You're selfish if you don't go. And it's hard in those game time decisions to remember like you have got to take care of yourself. I'm curious, where my mind always goes is like the cost of inaction, like the cost of not doing those things. What have you seen in your life that kind of led to like what happens when you don't take care of yourself and you're constantly giving and giving and giving? Like, what does that feel like for you?
Um, well, honestly, right now, especially with getting married, I put a lot of people first all the time. And I'm just learning, like, if I'm gonna be real, we don't know what's going on with my health issues, but I've been really having like digestive issues and just some like complications with not feeling good. And a lot of people, even my doctor, they're like, could it be stress? And so I'm like trying to figure out stress now. And I'm like, hey, is this God trying to like tell me like I need to slow it down, focus on myself? Like, it's different for everyone, but I feel like obviously your body is going to take a toll on it, especially your mental health. And just knowing, like, even if it's a good morning routine or something, like prioritizing a time for you, and then that way you can feel refreshed and replenished, like we were talking about.
Mhm.
And then you can be there more to support others, like we talked about earlier. I'm big on devotional time. Like every morning before I do anything, before I check social media, like I always have to start with either the Bible app or my devotional. I write down all my prayers, and I feel like that's just like the best way to start your day.
Yeah, it centers you. I'm a big believer. I have a it's funny you say that because I have a talk I'm giving coming up and it's all about taking time in the morning. And my whole point is Jesus did that. Like Jesus literally was like, sorry, suckers, I'm not seeing you yet. I'm getting up real early to
Yeah.
spend time with God before all these little nunchucks come try to like to me. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, why do we think we're exempt from taking time in the morning to be with God when Jesus showed us that by example? And so I love that you did that. I'm curious. I mean, you did just get married, and
Yeah.
most of my audience are young women. They're either just married, they're about to get married, or they're dating. Like, how has that people pleasing tendency shifted with marriage, if at all?
Yeah, it's actually pretty wild because I had never dated anyone before because I was so like focused on, I guess, like my career and my gymnastics. And so I was like, oh, I'm all in my own zone. And then randomly I get this like New Zealander DM me. It's a long story, but we did long distance and we had to jump into marriage like super fast because, well,
Wait, so
New
okay,
Zealand.
I love stories. We've got to
Oh,
tell the
okay.
story. So
Okay.
what did he DM you, and then
Yeah.
how long before y'all actually got like when did y'all
Oh,
see each
if people on the podcast don't know, I do social media, so I get a ton of DMs. Like, and
Well,
I
that's
usually
what I'm thinking. I was like, how
yeah,
did this girl find this guy's DM?
like I ignore them all. And so he messaged me, and I was just like, I can't explain it to this day. But I just felt comfortable talking to him, and we're always saying it's a big like God thing for sure.
Mm,
Um, but he messaged me, "Are you a Christian?" Because we had kind of followed each other before, so there's like a slight connection. That's how he like knew I was a Christian, so that's how I started the conversation. And then we were sharing like our Bible verses, and then I'm very blunt on social media because obviously, like I said, I've been getting DMs from people, so I just kind of like
you gotta
I don't
filter
want
it
to.
out, qualify out. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
I don't want to lead
it.
anyone on. So I was my normal like kind of blunt self. I'd be like, okay, thanks, and like his messages. He's like, I'm not getting anywhere with this. So he asked to hop on a call, and that was big because Most people don't really do that. So we hopped on a call, and then from there we started calling like every day, and then it turned into FaceTimes. And it was like 6 months of this, and we were like, okay, if we're gonna do anything, like obviously we have to meet in person.
Yeah.
So he flew out to America, where I am, and he stayed here for like 2 weeks.
So
And
how
then,
long after phone calls was this when he came to America?
yeah, it was like 6 months.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a long time.
the 6 months he came here, 2 weeks here, and then we had like a couple months apart. I went up there I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks too, but I got COVID. So then I got stuck there, it was good. I'm glad I got COVID in that case.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. So
so I
how
was
long were
there,
you there for?
that was like 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I went there for a sports camp, and I already had a trip after that planned, so I literally went home for like maybe a month and then went back.
Wow.
And then we
Okay.
got engaged.
You got it. Okay, okay. This is so good. So I'm gonna ask the question that everybody asks married people, which is, Christian spin. Like, how did you know with your Christian faith kind of influencing this, that he was the one?
Oh, that's a good question because it's funny when I was talking about how I'd never dated anyone, like I was always like, how do people know? Like, what do they mean?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's kind of just like how it's said. Like you can't really explain it. It's just like a confident feeling. And for me, I'm like picky with who I'm dating because I know what I want. Like I want a man who follows God, who loves me and puts him first more than me, and
Hmm.
obviously who has good values. So I'm pretty set for like the higher standards. And so with that, like I it was kind of easy to weigh out people who are obviously dating for the wrong reasons. So that's one option. And then the
What were
second,
so this is good because I think there's a lot of girls though that are sometimes struggling with loneliness to the point where they're willing to settle
mhm,
or not date someone, but just they're talking to a guy because they want that like stimulation. But there's so many red flags. So for you, what are like red flags when you were going through the dating process where it was like, okay, I this is not qualified out. This is not a contender.
yeah,
Besides, they don't believe in God.
this is gonna sound bad, but most people when they just come up to you and they're like, "What's your number?" and they just jump straight to it. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, like, why do you like me? Like, we need to connect before you just try to randomly pop in and date me. Like, I want to be friends first, so
Mhm.
that's huge. How they treat their mom, that's huge. Like,
My mom says that. That's
yeah,
awesome. I love that. Yeah.
I think that's so important. Like, how they connect with their family. Are they good people? How they carry themselves. And obviously, they do not have to be perfect. So I do want to throw that out there. Like, no one's perfect. We're not perfect, so we can't expect them to be perfect. But just like the little things, like, I don't know, I'm not into people who are clubbing and drinking all the time and like getting drunk. So it's like, I don't know, if whatever you're reading in the Bible, kind of ask God to show you and guide you in like the flags that he thinks are there for you. I guess does that make sense?
Yes. Well, I'm curious too, like when y'all started dating, how especially oh my gosh, I've read so many dating books and like Christian dating books, and they say like you want to build your relationship on God and you want God
Mhm.
to be the foundation. And then you embark on these relationships and you're like, but what does that actually look like? Does that look like doing devotional time together? Does that look like praying together? So like what did that look like for y'all to build a relationship on God?
Yeah, so long distance is not easy at all,
I can
especially
imagine. Well, and you guys were America and New Zealand.
it's
That's not like
literally
Florida and Ohio.
no, and to get it even worse, like if I was on the West Coast, it would at least be closer. But I was literally as far away as you can get, like all the way across the whole United States, because I'm on literally the full East Coast.
What's the time change or the time zone change for that?
They're like a day ahead, and I don't know, it's like 18 hours or something. I can't remember. It takes like a 30 hours to get there.
I would need to hire an assistant and have a completely separate Google Calendar to coordinate FaceTime dates.
Yeah, it was hard.
That's crazy. Okay, so
Yeah.
how did y'all build like a relationship on Christ with all
Um,
this? acrobatic time zone moves.
Yeah, so speaking of the time zones, that's what made it a little difficult for the devotional times we wanted. Sometimes we would get them in, but other than that, the Bible app is an amazing tool because they have like the group devotionals. So when I
Mm.
had time, I would read it, and then at the end, you can like write down your thoughts and share, comment. And then whenever he would do it, he would share his comment. So we could still kind of like do it together and communicate, but we didn't have to be on the same time, which was super great.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm curious too, because what I love about your page is like, I think a lot of times, especially people of faith, they separate their faith bucket from the rest of themselves. It's like mind, body, spirit, and they're separate entities. But with you, it's this beautiful depiction of what can happen when you like congregate your spirit and taking care of your body and taking care of your relationships, because it's all part of the same thing, right?
Hmm.
And I'm curious, like, now that you went from never dating to getting engaged, and now you're married, like, how is kind of refining this part of your heart and yourself influence these other parts of yourself with your spirit and like your fitness, taking care of your body? Like, what sort of influences have had it on that?
Um, do you kind of mean like with sharing on social media or just like in my heart in general?
In your heart in general.
I guess like I don't know, all of it has just built my faith even more and made it stronger because with jumping into a relationship, that was a big step, but especially jumping into marriage, there's a lot that I don't know and that I need to lean on God for. So I
Mhm.
feel like it gives me motivation to connect with God more and talk with Him and be like, I need you in this moment. And then it's also that kind of builds my faith and then it makes me want to share even more. So it's kind of this like loop of, I guess, encouragement.
I love that. And I think going to your point, like, of it's funny because we always want to feel encouraged, right? Like, I feel like encouraged is an adjective or something that most people they desire. They long to feel encouraged. But to feel encouragement means you're going through a time that requires encouragement. And so it's not a bad thing or a thing to fear when you go through seasons where there's uncertainty involved. There's always going to be uncertainty involved if you're like
Mm.
living life, because we're always progressing into new stages, right? And so I love that you use that word encouragement, because that encourages me to remember that no matter what changes on the outside, whether it's with our body or our minds, our relationship status, we have a God that doesn't change. And it's reconnecting to Him to give us that encouragement in all those different times. So I love that you said that, Sarah. Um, I'm curious, like, I know we're coming up on time here in a little bit, but your page, it's beautiful, and you're doing so many different things, and you're so many different people yourself. When people come to your page, I think we live in a world where everybody wants to have some sort of influence, and we all kind of want to be our own degree of influencers, which is great. I think everyone has influence and everyone has a platform, regardless of how many followers you have. What does influence mean to you? And when people come to your page, how do you want them to be influenced?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I honestly, if I'm not gonna lie, Instagram and TikTok have been kind of a struggle with me because I feel like it puts you in a box almost with the
Mhm,
algorithm and you have to do like what they want you to do to grow. And
mhm.
it's kind of hard to figure out. But no matter what, I always want to be able to share. Like, one, my main goal is being happy and healthy. So like living a happy and healthy lifestyle, and that means including your faith, fitness, and like community. So those three things I base a lot of the foundations of my business on, which is actually what my husband and I are doing. We're like building out training programs for people, and we started at I guess yeah, a company called BondFit. It's
Mhm.
still in the process of we're figuring things out, but it's based on the faith and fitness and community or family.
I love it. Why do you think faith is such a requirement to have ultimate fitness, if you do it all?
Um, well, I mean, I'm guessing most people on here are Christians, but faith in like the Christian sense, like, I don't know what I would do without God.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of blows my mind that people go through things without him. Like, he's my rock, my foundation. And even in the gym, like, if you're not having the best day, the gym, it doesn't have to be the gym, but moving your body is so important, and it's a gift from God. So
Mhm.
those two kind of tie together, but also like just listening to worship music or Christian music in a workout, that always seems to just like, you can have like a peaceful time with God, but while you're moving your body. And it's one of like my favorite things to do when I'm having down times.
Yes. What's your go-to worship artist?
Okay, well, it depends. So I like, if I need like a hardcore workout, there's different types of people like Lecrae, like Christian rap music. I do love NF. I don't know if he's like fully
Do you know
counted.
One Day? Do you listen to One Day at all?
I don't know. I might know a song.
She's great. She's the podcast guest that's coming out this week. That's why I asked.
Hey,
But she's awesome. You should look her up. She's like the one of the first female Christian rappers that made it into.
I
Um,
will for
yeah,
sure go
she's
listen to her.
she's spicy.
Yeah. And then just any general type of worship music, whatever's coming out now. For King and Country is good.
I know they were just in a new movie that is on PureFlix. I don't know if you've heard of PureFlix. It's like a Christian Netflix. It's really cool. Um,
Oh,
yeah, but they were just in a movie that came out. I so agree with you. I think there's nothing more magnetic about combining like a hard workout with worship music because it is just like I don't know, there's something so humbling about it. You know what I mean? It's like when you're pushing yourself. I think that's the essence of faith. It's like when we feel our weakest, we're actually our strongest. Like God says that like at the end of ourselves is when his power can come in. And workouts remind me of that. Like the minute that I am on the treadmill, I'm a cardio girl, so I'm not a big weightlifter. But when I'm running sprints and I feel like I'm about to literally pass out, the irony is I'm actually getting stronger than before I did that. And it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I'm weaker than before I started it, but I'm actually getting stronger. And I think that's just the beautiful thing about grace and faith and God's reminder.
yeah.
Like his strength is what makes us strong, not our limitations. And you on your Instagram, you posted something a while ago that talked about like remembering how far you've come. And then
Mhm.
in the bio, it says the best is yet to come. And I love both of those ideas. And I'm curious for you, like how you have danced that toggle of reflecting, but not getting stuck in the past, but also getting excited about the future, but not missing the current moment.
Yeah, a lot of that is mindset, and it's always a work in progress. Like, I never want to come on here and sound like, oh, I got it all together. Definitely not. But it's something that I work on and encourage others to. So earlier I mentioned I write down my prayers.
Mhm.
That's huge. So I actually went through them today, and just going back and like seeing what God has done in your life is so, so amazing. And then that's an encouragement for the future too. Just being like, okay, I was kind of lost and confused in this moment. I trusted God and he's gotten me out of it. And then in the future, this is my biggest struggle. I deal a lot with worry about the unknown.
Mm,
And it's something that's been going on a lot lately, just with like, being married. He's from New Zealand, he can't really work. So I'm putting like a lot of pressure on myself to kind of figure things out, even though I don't fully know what I'm doing with the whole social media, starting
mm,
podcasts and stuff. Like, it feels so overwhelming. But at the same time, I've just been always like, okay, just trust God. Like, He's there for you. And I don't want to miss all these moments because I'm so focused on what I want now.
mhm,
And then that also kind of goes into like, oh wow, if I don't fix it now in the future, I'm just going to always be in this cycle of like
mhm.
worrying and missing every single moment. So I want to like work on that now and kind of just enjoy the seasons, even if it's a struggle.
Oh, yes. Struggle is the word. It's like that's the journey. It's like we're not supposed to have it all figured out. Even on your best day, you're not going to have it figured out. But that's the promise of our God is that we weren't ever given that responsibility or that obligation. And I find so much encouragement that so much is not only that, but like Jesus gives us instructions for how to handle that, right? It's like you are a light or a lamp unto my feet. Like he gives us one step at a time. And he tells us like take one step at a time. I was even like before I hopped on here, like was going through the Lord's Prayer. And for me, give us this day our daily bread. It's funny you say that because literally before this, I was like, God, there are 1,000 things on my mind right now and 1,000 things on my heart right now. Help me be here 1,000,000,000% with Sarah, just mind, body, and
Mm.
heart.
Yeah.
Everything with Sarah, because that's when you start enjoying life, is when you take each moment and you're just like, okay, I'm going to love this moment the most that I can. And when you do that, that's when even the craziness of the day, at least you can look back on the day and say, wow, I had some great moments. And as opposed to, those moments you're like, I don't even know what I did today. It was just a blur because I was so focused on the next thing on my to-do list that I
Yeah.
wasn't even on the present thing.
Yeah, and that'll take away from big moments too. Like I've learned, I was even just in Times Square recently and going to New York, and there's been some pretty big moments, but if you're focusing so much on like what's next, you won't even be like, wait a minute, like I literally just did this big thing and I didn't even like I wasn't even that grateful for it. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
I love that you said that. I just had an epiphany because I was talking with someone the other day about how I used to really struggle with internalizing big moments. Like, I don't know if I accomplished something or even just like had a big moment, like something worth celebrating, I couldn't feel it. It was like, what's the next thing on my to do list?
Mhm.
And I just think about you with fitness and what we were talking about with sports. With sports, like the reason you practice and train is because how you do every single little movement is how you're going to perform on the big stage. And if we can, just like what you're saying, if we can learn how to take each little moment of our day and appreciate it and love it, that's the muscle that's being built to where when the big moments come, we've built those muscles to be able to appreciate that big moment. And the flip side is true. If we don't learn to appreciate every small moment, we're going to miss the big moments too.
Yeah, and I also, when I was listening to your podcast, I remember, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a New Year's one, and you said something about what your mom said to you,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like,
Things
oh my gosh, that hit
Is
me
you
so
on
hard.
Rainbow Black? Yeah,
Yeah. I
basically.
was like, I needed that.
No, and to your point, you said that word community, and I want to bring that back up because community is a massive part of health, right? Like you can have the slickest bod doing all the meal prep, but if you don't have people to call you out on your crap, you're not going to be the healthiest version of yourself. And I like for me, that moment you're speaking about with my mom, I remember it clear as day. It was this past April. I was super healthy. I was going to New York for work. Like life on the surface looked amazing. And my heart was so bitter, so resentful. And my mom called me out on it. And it led to like, I took a month off social media. Like it led to some awesome transformations, and you need people that call you out in a loving way but
Yeah.
like like people that call you out on ways that you can improve and challenge you. It's so important.
Yeah. Did you just say you took a month off of social media?
Mhm.
That's actually what I'm doing. Okay, I've only done 2 days so far,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, I randomly the other day I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take time off social media. I felt like I just needed to take time to clear my head and figure out things, especially to spend more time with God and just try to clear my mind because it could be
Okay,
overwhelming.
I love, and I want to speak into you for that for a second because it takes so much bravery to do that. A lot of people don't understand, like, when social media is your job
Oh
and when
yeah.
it's your business, it's a completely different type of sacrifice. People think it's just like, oh, you're addicted to it. It's like, no, I
Hmm.
don't even consume that much of other people's content.
Yeah.
No, it's very much just like I create the content. And so giving that up, it's like giving up your creativity outlet. It's like telling a painter you're not allowed to paint for a month. It's hard. And
Yeah.
so all that to say, I will encourage you because what it did for me was it gave me guidelines on what is worth going back to when I get back on. And I actually, Sarah, Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I'm going to expose myself. But I actually wrote a contract. I still have it. I wrote a social media contract on what I can and cannot do. And I had my mom witness it. And she's a lawyer. And literally, it was a whole thing because I was like, if I'm going to get back on, we're going to have some boundaries. Like, for example, I can't scroll the feed. I'm not allowed to do that. I can only click on stories of people that I like my friends. I changed my DM settings so I can only get DMs from people that I follow. And anyways, but all that to say, like, it was game changing. So I encourage you in doing that. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Like you said, I guess a lot of people don't fully understand what it takes in the
They don't.
behind the scenes.
They
And
don't.
I've done it for so long, and I was like, I've never taken a break from it. Oh my gosh, like I should do that.
You should. And a book that you should read when you do. Two, I have recommendations. One, have you ever read The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry?
Mm-mm.
Oh my word, I'm sending it to you after this. It is amazing. It's by John Mark Comer, and the whole like thesis behind this book is the enemy can't take away like the calling God put on our life. So he'll try to make us so busy that we miss it.
That's
And
so good.
this week I actually was asking myself, am I being productive right now or am I just being busy? Because they're two very different things. And social media for me is like a great distraction to keep myself busy, but it's like, am I being productive? So I read that book and then a book called With. It's this idea of we are called to walk with God, not work from him, work under him, or work for him, but just walk with him. And I'll send you the info. But everyone else listening, I forgot we were on a podcast for a second. Those are
Okay.
the best conversations though, when you forget you're on a podcast.
They
But
can review the book.
yeah, everyone needs these two books and I'll send you the info afterwards, but they're great. But Sarah, this was so wonderful. You're such a light and I'm so inspired by you, but also even more inspired by you that like you're taking care of truly your health in its most holistic form, spiritually, physically, relationally, mentally. And the fact that like you're doing a social media fast and you're working on these different things and you have so many exciting things coming up. It's really encouraging to see. And last question that we always have on the Made to Shine episode, which is, Jesus talks a lot about like having childlike faith and how children can sometimes be the best teachers. So what would childlike Sarah, what advice would she have for current day Sarah?
I think kind of like what we went through with the podcast, just trusting in God. Because like I said, don't know where I'd be without him. So just continuing to have faith in God, no matter what happens, like always just follow him. He's by your side and he loves you, and he's not doing anything to tear my life apart. Like
Yeah.
he's there for me.
Do you know the song Trust in God by Elevation Worship?
Yes.
That's my jam. Last year, I saw them for the first time live, and I saw them. I'm putting quotation marks for those who aren't watching the YouTube. I was crying so hard, I like couldn't even see the stage. That song has ministered to me through the darkest of nights this past year, and so I feel like you should go listen to that after this
I
podcast.
will.
That should be your song for the year. No, but Sarah, you're such a light. Thank you for all you do. And I just encourage you to keep going and keep shining and keep inspiring the masses because you're doing it, girlfriend. Keep shining.